The American Scream is a documentary that follows 3 families in Massachusetts as they prepare for their annual homemade haunted houses.
Yeah, we gotta move these. It looks like a yard sale. It doesn't look like a cemetery.
It's hard because he wants it just right.
I'm hating this. I'm not liking this at all.
He's a perfectionist. If the paint wasn't right, if he doesn't like it, he'll take it off and start all over again. I think he's crazy.
It certainly satisfies some desire that I have. It's a hobby for a lot of my friends. But for me, it's a bit more than that.
Before I review The American Scream, it's very important that I make sure you're aware that I myself am a haunter as well. So I was very excited to see this documentary because this is, like, my life right here. I mean, this is a part of my life. However, it's a little different because I am a commercial haunter in the sense that I run a haunted house. And these people are home haunters, and that means they decorate their house and they run a haunted house maybe at their own house, as opposed to it being like a big commercial sort of business, if you will. If you've never heard of my haunted house, it's called Nyctophobia. You can check it out by clicking the link down in the info. And the thing about it is, we do that for a month. We do it for all of October. It's a haunted house that runs through the Halloween season. But these people do this for a day. They set up and they really just run their show for one day, Halloween night. Not even the day, just the night for the most part. And so I have to say, that is pretty incredible. And not that this is my first time seeing this, obviously. I used to do that when I was younger before I opened my own haunted house. But, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work for just one day. And I think it's a lot of work for a month. My gosh. I gotta give him a lot of credit for that. And I think The American Scream really does a great job showing the hard work that is put into stuff like this, because I think a lot of people, they go out trick-or-treating, and they go to haunted houses, and they think these things just pop up out of nowhere, no effort, just buy everything at Target. That is not the case at all. Some of these people are legitimate artists. Even if it's not super expensive, they have a creative drive that you can see and you can feel when you go see these things. And so I do think this documentary really highlighted that very well, and I'm really glad that hopefully more people will be aware of the hard work that's put into this kind of stuff. I also think it really did a great job of showing that it's not all about scaring, and maybe for some people it is, but for the subjects of this documentary, it's also about just that feeling, and it's so hard for me to explain, but I totally get it, and I feel the exact same way. It's about the memories, it's about your family and friends all being together, and at one point one of the guys says, there's no other time of the year when a community comes together this way, and everyone's kind of just wandering around, walking around, going door to door, and there's something truly magical about it. And I'm very happy that this documentary also captured that, as opposed to just being, scary Halloween, because it's not just about that. Another really interesting thing that this documentary touched upon is the concept of this all possibly being a bit selfish, because, you know, for the most part, the dad is really into it, and the family backs him up, but it's like, the dad, and I get this because not that I'm a dad, but I've gone through this, you know, spending money on stuff like this. You're spending money on these things that are part of your passion, but is that selfish because maybe your family's not as into it, and you kind of have to make sacrifices in some cases, depending on how much you're spending on stuff for your Halloween display or your haunted house. And so I thought that was really an interesting thing that they touched upon. It's not something I think about that often, but it definitely made me think about it more. I thought the documentary was shot very well. It really kind of had that vibe that you feel around Halloween, and it really amplified the feeling that the movie was trying to get across. I also really loved the music in it, specifically this amazing montage of Halloween night that features a version of In the Hall of the Mountain King, which is one of my favorite songs of all time, and it fit perfectly. That whole montage was amazing. And as far as the subjects of the documentary go, I like that they picked a few people rather than just like one family to focus on, because everybody does it differently, and this documentary shows that. And as glad as I am that they focused on genuine people who are really into it for the love of doing it and are nice people, or so it seems from the documentary at least, I kind of would have liked to see the other side of it. And you may not be aware of this. Actually, there's a whole world that you're not even aware of with haunted houses. I have witnessed it because I go to Trans World and stuff like that, and I'm in the business myself, quote unquote, not to sound like a tool, but there's another type of person that is in this business, and it's kind of like a pageant mom sort of thing, and they can be jerks, and they can be very kind of like, oh, look at me, I'm cool, I've got the expensive props, and I'm not kidding, there's people that are actually like this. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. That might be a whole separate documentary right there. And while, like I said, I'm glad that they focused on genuine people, I don't know, it definitely painted a portrait that suggests everybody is genuine, and that's not true. And I do want to talk about one sort of spoiler aspect that I don't want to give away because it is kind of a surprise at the end of the documentary. But before I get to that, I'd like to give a few shout-outs, if you will, to people that I was so happy to see. And not just people, but different things in this movie that I was happy to see as a haunter myself. First of all, Haunt Forum. That was awesome. I was so happy to see David in this thing. That was fantastic. Also, of course, the subjects are on Haunt Forum, and I saw Spider Rider in there and some other people I recognized from the forum, so that was really cool. I love that they had Hauntcast in it. That was awesome, and I'm sure Hauntcast was super excited that they were able to put that in there. I was excited to see HauntCon, which I was actually invited to speak at myself back in 2011, and so it was just really cool to see all of these things that I've been aware of and that have been a part of my life for so long that are certainly nothing mainstream, and I don't expect them to be, but it was very surreal to see, but also really cool. And now I'm going to talk about that spoiler, so if you have not seen The American Scream and you don't want to know what happens to these guys, there's one family in particular I'm going to talk about. Do not watch the rest of this review, go watch The American Scream, and then you can come back and see what I had to say about the surprise, which, at this point, hopefully, if you don't want to know, you are not watching anymore. I did not expect this, but when Victor got let go at the end of the movie, and it kind of felt like the movie wasn't quite over yet, I suddenly was like, wait a minute, and then yes, he went pro. And I was jumping for joy, I was cheering, I was clapping, and I was watching this thing alone. I was so just overjoyed for him because I can so appreciate that feeling, and it was so inspirational and so cool and very well done. It felt so epic. And then also when you see that the daughter is designing her own room, I just thought all of that was so heartwarming and, like I said, very inspirational to someone like me who is also a haunter who is currently in the commercial haunt business, I guess you could call it, although I do it kind of independently. And it was just really cool to see, and I am very happy for him. I'm happy for all of them that they are doing what they love, but he is going the extra mile, he's taking the next step, and so I thought that was awesome. But that's all I have to say about The American Scream. I really enjoyed it. As a haunter, I approve, I guess you could say, because I guess we're kind of the main audience that would be able to say whether it achieved its goal or not, and I do think that it really put together a great portrait of what goes into building these things, the hard work, the dedication, and the passion, and that it's way more than just about scaring people. That's so important to me, and I'm glad that that was an important part of the documentary. So let me know in the comments what you thought of The American Scream. First of all, let me know if you are a haunter, or if you are completely on the outside of this and you had no idea about any of this kind of stuff. Let me know what you thought of each family. Let me know which was your favorite, I guess. Let me know anything that you want about The American Scream. And that's pretty much it.
95% of the people that are going through this haunt are strangers. I may never see them again, but they'll remember this. They may not remember me, but they'll remember what I've done.